74 ethnic group and one ballot box. The impossible mathematics of Nigerian democracy. Alright, let's just sit with this for seconds. Imagine you are trying to design a democracy for a country where 274 different ethnic groups exist each other with their own language and their own history, their own graveness, their own ambitions. And you have to squeeze all of them into one election and one president, one government. That is what Nigeria reality every 4 years says. Now, let us start with this scale. Nigeria doesn't have ethnic diversity. It was staggering ethnic diversity. We are talking about groups that are so many different from each other that sometimes they have more in common with people in neighboring countries than their fellow Nigerians. Like example, Kanuri people of Borno State share a deep cultural root with people in Chad and Niger. Efiki people of Cross River have a complete district, civilization, language, and tradition from the Tifi people just as few states away. Another one is Ijo of Niger State, live a riverine lifestyle so unique that their own worldview. Understand? Economic and politics barely resemble. Anything happen, any say in Sokoto or Kaduna or Katsina, yet one election, one president, one Nigeria. Here is the three big problem. Now here is what Nigeria politics is getting its specific flavor of choose. Out of 264 ethnic group, three dominate everything. That means the three is Hausa, Fulani of in northern parts, and Yoruba in southwest parts, Igbo in southeast parts. These three groups put together make up to 60 to 70% of population, and because of that, Nigeria politics have become one three negotiates that everybody else has to watch from both sides. Now the remaining 200 and something ethnic group, the Ijaw, the Tifi, the Kanuri, the Efiki, the Nupe, the Bibio, the Upo, and 100 more are perpetually fighting for relevance in a system that was never redesigned with them in mind. What does this do to election? Now let me tell you, when a Nigeria election goes to vote, they rarely just voting for a candidate, they are voting for their own ethnic group turn at power. Another one is their religious representation, their religion access to federal resources. Another is community protection from being marginalized. This was Nigeria's does during election. Issues like healthcare, education, and infrastructure, the things that election is supposed to be about, often come second to identity. For example, a Yoruba woman in Oyo State might vote a clearly incompetent Yoruba candidate over a brilliant Igbo candidate simply because he believes power must come from home first. And honestly, given Nigeria a history of marginalization, that instinct isn't entirely fiction. That's what makes Nigeria democracy so fascinating and so heartbreaking at that time. Now, let's go for the minority group that are quite suffering. Here is something that barely make headline. Why the big three fight over president and governorship? Minority ethnic group often completely invisible in the national conservation. Take a look at Uguru people of River State. Their land produce more oil from than entire Nigeria state. Yet they have been so systematically analyzed that their most famous son, Kansaro Yuwa, was executed by Nigeria government in 1995 for daring to demand a basic right for his people, or considered Tifi people of Benue State, one of the largest minority group who has been caught in deadly conflict with the Fulani herdsmen for years, yet struggling to get consistent national political attention because they don't have the numeric weight to swing presidential election. Minority in Nigeria doesn't mean smaller, it means quieter and poorer and more vulnerable. Now, the language problem nobody talk about. Nigeria has over 500 languages. The constitution recognizes only three, Hausa, Fulani, and Igbo, as a national language. English is official language of the government. So imagine being an elderly voter in a remote, for example, in a Doma or in a Gala community, trying to understand ballot paper written in English, debating politics, announcing in English. choosing a between candidate who campaign in English. Your participation in your own democracy is already capped before you even reach the polling booth. Federal character, Nigeria Accord solution. What Nigeria government do? Nigeria government didn't ignore this problem entirely. They invest something called federal character principle. It is basically say the federal government and point must be reflect Nigeria diversity. Every state should be represent a major government position. No single ethnic group should dominate federal institution. That sounds good on paper, but in practice, it has become a system that competence is something sacrificed for ethnic balancing. You end up with a minister appointing not because they are not the best person for the job, but because their state needed representation. It's affirmative action for ethnicity wey in ten ded deeply complicated and frequently abused. Now, the real impossible mathematics, here is the equation. Nigeria can never quit solved. 274 ethnic group in different need. If we now take all the presidential system, a history of military rule that never respected diversity, or even that make control of center asymmetric lucrative. A democracy where ethnic group will trump ideology. As long as being a president means your ethnic group gets contracts, appointments, and attention and the resources, people will keep voting with their blood before their votes with their brain. That's how it is. Now, Nigerian democracy hasn't broken because Nigeria doesn't understand democracy. It's complicated because the country itself is extraordinary complex human experiment. 274 different people thrown together by a colonial design and asked to function as a one nation with one government and one sharp destiny. Some days Nigeria pull it off beautifully, yes, and some days it is fell apart spectacularly. But every 4 years, those 274 groups line up and hold their breath, drop their ballots into a same bus. That itself, you see, and complicated, and it might be most remarkable political